treat. It's going to be a day, just one day of hugs.
And crying.
Yes. RBP, where you at, young lady? Hey, y'all.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. My mind is going.
Yeah, we triggered her doer.
No, you didn't necessarily trigger the
Oh,
doer.
good, because the doer usually means more work for me.
No, this is why I'm so excited, because you didn't trigger the doer.
Good.
And not triggering the doer means I'm getting spiritual downloads that I don't have to do anything for.
Amen.
I don't. Sean's like, pass the offer plate on that one. No, I'm not having to do anything for, because I'm sitting here, I'm listening to y'all, and my brain went exactly where yours did, Sean, when Laura was talking. And I instantly started writing down, do I want to be resilient or consistent in moving forward in success? And I wrote that down. And you started going down this about 30 seconds after I wrote that down. And I wrote down, why do we downplay success and call it resilience? Why do we downplay success and we say I'm resilient? Because Laura, I have said that throughout my whole life. When you said that, everything inside of me went, she's successful and so are you. Why are you calling it resilience? Resilience is the enemy's way of downplaying the success that we deserve to call success. It fired me up so much. I said, why can't and why don't we claim our success? What is so scary about success? And it's not the success that's scary. It's the fact that the person who we begin to see in the mirror scares us a little bit, because down inside, we've felt this lion. We felt this lioness for years and years and years. And the one way the enemy helps us keep her or him at bay is we call it resiliency. We call it, we just kept living. We just made it through. We're just resilient. We're just enough. We are so much more than enough. We are so much more than enough. And it's hitting me square in the heart going, my God, I've kept the title of resiliency. How many times have I said, I just keep going. That's how I made it past that life and death situation. I'm just resilient. I just don't quit. Screw the just don't quit. We're playing small. Nothing. We are serving no one, no way, nothing by playing small. This is madness that we're playing so small. Listen, resilience, the title of resiliency, it probably did keep me alive, because that's all I could wrap my mind around. But the reason why I've pushed through going, it can't just be resiliency, is because there is that lioness inside. That there is that lion inside. There is that knowing inside. Yes, it's either go big or go home. It's either go run or go stay on the porch. I wrote down, and Sean said something about bounce. And I said, do we want to bounce back, or do we want to bounce forward? And the thought of bounce, he took the thought of bounce and he was like, you don't have to bounce. And I thought, but what if you do bounce? And while you bounce, why can't you enjoy the flight phase of a bounce? My little girl and I will take these little bouncy balls, those crazy balls. And when we're feeling crazy, and I guess like we don't mind wrecking the house, we'll take those balls and we'll hit them as hard as we can on the ground, and they'll hit the light fixtures and the ceilings and the walls, and they're going bananas. But if this isn't a word, I don't care. The funnest part is the flight phase, because you have no idea where it's about to go. You have no idea what it's about to hit, what it's about to land on, what it's about to ricochet off of. So if we are going to bounce forward and enjoy the flight phase. I'm not perfect. I'm going to bounce at times, but thank God I now see that when I bounce, two things. I can enjoy the flight phase of what it feels like to be free, flying, not falling, free flying forward. And if Sean's right on this part, and he is, it's harder to hit a moving target if I'm moving. That explains to me why the enemy is using nuclear weapons to try to get me down. So now I have a win-win, brother. I have a win-win. So when he does creep up at me, I'm like, first of all, I'm enjoying the flight phase because I'm bouncing forward, and I won't be going back, because the bouncy balls, they never go back to where they started. They end up, who knows where, in a cup on top of a cupboard or something. Who knows where they live? But one, I'm bouncing forward, and I won't go back to where I began. And two, the only reason you're coming after me is because I'm moving. I am a moving target. I am a moving target. That means I got something that somebody wants. Negative or positive, it doesn't matter. That means I got value. That means I got purpose. I may not know where it's going because my life has often looked like the bouncy ball. But I've always experienced the bounce as a, oh, and now I got to fly here. Why can't I look like the dog in the back seat with the window down, throwing its head out the window, and his ears are flapping and his gums are flapping in the wind, and he's just like, in heaven, I'm just flipping and flying and having a good time. Why can't I experience those moments that way? I can. I get to. I can, and I get to. And so then you mentioned lions, and my brain instantly, I turned my camera off and I went running, and I'm like, I gotta find him. And here's what's crazy. Two things. Everything I was looking for that I went to the library to find, I had put in my little jumbled mess right here in my little mini library. And I couldn't find it in there. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I got to reference these. Laura needs to see these books, whether she reads them or not. She needs to see these. I'm supposed to tell her about them. And I come back in here and you see me diving over into the side. I found it. And there's another one, but I can't find it. But I found the two that I needed. But in the process, side note, in the process, the book I keep referencing about the courage to be healed, I had thought I'd seen it before, and I looked down in this jumbled mess. I have 2 copies now. I picked this up about 2 or 3 months ago at the church library, and I remembered it. And I'm like, oh, that's funny, God. Now you're just showing off. That's just funny. But here's what, Laura, and anybody else that wants these, you can write them down. You can get them on Amazon or wherever you want to get them. The author is Mark Batterson. Mark Batterson, Batterson. But it's called, the first one that I read was In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day. In a Pit with a Lion on a Snowy Day. He wrote this book off of one verse in the Bible. The guy that we see in the pit with a lion on a snowy day actually becomes King David's right-hand man in his security force, in his security detail. He writes this book. And this guy falls in a pit with a lion on a snowy day. And inside, and then the other one, before I go into that one, is Chase the Lion. And it says, if your dream doesn't scare you, it's too small. These are New York Times bestsellers. Chase the Lion. Fabulous book. But as I sat here, Laura, I sat here listening to you because you're just dancing all over my heart. I was like, God, there's got to be something in here for her. And he had me marked 4 or 5 different places. Now, listen, these are all marked from like 2016. Because when I read a book, I'll put the date inside the cover. So if I want to go back and reference my journal, I can see what's going on, what made me might want to read that book. Here's some things. Y'all bear with me. Just give me some time. Take a breath. If this ain't for you, you can jump off. The longer I live, the more I think that spiritual maturity is less about figuring out the future and more about a moment by moment sensitivity to the Spirit of God. I'm not saying we shouldn't make plans. Listen to this part. Y'all ready? Lean in. But you might want to use a pencil with an eraser and have a shredder handy. That was good. Just sit with it. Just sit with it. Here's the next one. Here's the next one. Embrace relational uncertainty. It's called romance. Embrace spiritual uncertainty. It's called mystery. Embrace occupational uncertainty. It's called destiny. Embrace emotional uncertainty. It's called joy. Embrace intellectual uncertainty. It's called revelation. Y'all, that paragraph right there, like throat punches and crotch kicks the devil square back to hell where he belongs. Now listen to this. We've got to develop an affinity for uncertainty and learn to enjoy the journey. Y'all was getting this in 2016 before I ever knew Sean existed. Can you say I was thick-headed? Here's the next one. In his book, Chaos, James Gleick defines the butterfly effect this way. Tiny differences in input can quickly become overwhelming differences in output. I'm going to read it again. Tiny differences in input quickly become overwhelming differences in output. These do not have to be big leaps. These can be one bounce of the bouncy ball. It doesn't have to be huge, huge pieces of input creating huge, huge pieces of little tiny movements. Okay, couple more, 3 more, and this is all I have. Easy answers produce shallow convictions. If you're looking for the next shiny new object, the quick, easy answer, easy answers produce shallow convictions. Generally speaking, you're probably never going to be more than 80% certain. Waiting for greater certainty may cause you to miss an opportunity. Are y'all hearing how much even this guy is saying to live in the uncertainty? And here's the last one I was told to mark. There are basically 2 approaches to life: playing to win and playing not to lose. Me constantly claiming I'm resilient is me playing not to lose. If y'all want 2 more things that hit me this week, you can drop a 1 in the chat. If you're like, done, let Sean wrap it and I got to get off the call, don't answer. Stop it, Sean. Turn that off. You're going to take my brain somewhere else. Turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. Okay, so here we go. I went out to a wedding yesterday, and this venue is unbelievable. It's literally out in the middle of nowhere. It's called Chandelier Farms. And these people are best friends with some of my really good friends. And they blessed their daughter. It takes $8,000 just to buy the date to use the facility. And then anything else you want above that begins to just tack on. They have not missed any detail at this place. Every chandelier, every window, every painting, every drawer pull, every doorknob, everything you can think of is so beautiful and amazing. They're sitting right at, because I know them well, they're sitting right at $2 million in this facility. It's gorgeous. Because my friends and their daughter who got married last night would never be able to use this facility because they ain't set up to do that yet. Their friends gave them the facility for a $350 cleaning fee, and then donated all their workers, all their staff, all their decorations, all their glass plates, all their kitchen, bridal suite, groom suite. Y'all, this is something out of a magazine, what this place looks like. It's amazing. A decent wedding, like, oh, that was sweet, would be $30,000 to $50,000 at this joint. They gave it to him for $350. And I sat back And although the wedding was beautiful, and watching the groom see the bride, and the bride is one of my basketball girls, my husband was in tears because we saw him look at her. They're already legally married. They did the JP thing like 2 months ago. Okay, they're expecting a baby. The timing was a little different, but who cares? They opened the church doors, and this young man who I've come to love because he loves, I call her my other daughter, my other niece. They opened the doors, and I see everyone always looks at the bride, and I glanced at the bride, but I'd seen her earlier because I've got, backroom access. I stopped and I turned and I looked at Kevin, the groom. And it was everything he could do not to have the ugly crying face. And he's got this beard down to about right here, the popular beard everybody's doing in the South. He's got this beard and he's in this black suit and he's going, and he's trying, but for the moment, y'all, I got to see love manifest physically. And my husband looked at him and my husband started going, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he feels it too. And I'm like, you feel, Kevin, how much he loves Raina, don't you? And he's like, yeah, shh, shh. I think because when you talk, you cry more. All that to say this, the family that owns the facility, that donated this facility for $350 cleaning fee. That's all they wanted. That's all they requested, just so they had something in the game to make him not destroy the place. I went up to her last night because they're entrepreneurs. They've owned multiple businesses. They have a lot of money, but they've lost a lot at times too. And I grabbed the owner by the arm and I said, Randy, I got to tell you something. And she is she's probably 4 or 5 drinks in. She likes her alcohol. She enjoys a good time. She turns around, she looks at me and I said, I have to tell you, because of you and your blessing, I got to watch love manifest physically today in the eyes of Kevin. I got to see him love my girl. Like, you could see the connection. And I said, this is possible because you don't play small. And she like sobered up instantly. And she looked over and kind of up at me because I'm taller than her. She looked over and she looked up at me and she goes, oh. And I said, you don't play small. I said, the last 2 days I've been here decorating and working around you and working in this facility. I said, you've caused me to raise my heart level even more. You've called me up. Being around you has released me to become more. You talk about sober. She's dead sober now. She looks at me and she goes, I got to hug you. And I hug her and I was like, I can't tell you what it means to me to see you use your hard work to bless others. This is what I want to do. She couldn't speak. I wasn't expecting an answer in return. I'm telling y'all this story because it lit my heart on fire. And then Laura gets on here talking about resiliency. And I'm like, Laura shouldn't be resilient. Laura should be successful. Laura is successful. Rhonda is successful. We are all successful. Why do we downplay it and play small with the words like resiliency? I'm thankful for resiliency. It got me to success. That's the only time I need to use that. That's the only time I need to use that as a stepping stone to let me see it's my time to play big. It's your time to play big. The other story I was going to tell you, I don't have time to tell you. Maybe I'll tell you that tomorrow, because at the very, very beginning of this, when we were listening to JJ, whatever her name is, I don't even know. I've never seen her before in my life. It's the first time I've ever seen her. I live under a rock in East Texas, apparently. She was talking about neuroencoding, and y'all had a little discussion about that because this ties in with this. I had a moment when I was at Shauna Michelle's last week. I didn't have anybody doing any neuroencoding. Sean wasn't working his magic. Sean was probably dead asleep somewhere. And I had a breakthrough that happened that caused me to realize and to instantly see in the spiritual world the freedom that broke into my life because of the chains that broke off of me. And it ties in like this. Resiliency can be a chain tethering you to the ground when you're supposed to be bouncing up into success and enjoying the flight. You're bounce worthy. And it's time for you to enjoy the flight phase. It's time for you to enjoy the flight phase. Life's going to be like a bouncy ball most of your life. And when you bounce off of something, kiss it goodbye, bid it farewell, and realize you're never going to land there again. You're never going to land there again. And then spread your wings and think about feeling like that dog with its head and ears stuck out the side of the door, out of the side of the window, rather, driving down the road and just happy to be alive and enjoying the wind through your ears and through your hair and then what it feels like to be in flight phase. You're worthy of that. And I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful. I knew this morning, I knew last night when my daughter goes, Mom, I just don't feel like we're going to go to church tomorrow. We're tired. We partied hard, because party hard means we drank a lot of tea and we danced a lot. And I thought to myself, we're probably not. And I got up this morning because of other things. We didn't go. And I thought, I'm supposed to be on this call today. Because I even thought about being silent and just sitting in silence. And I thought, no, I heard get on the call. And now I know why. This right here. Y'all serve me so well. Laura, your boldness serves me so well. Sharon, your questions serves me so well. Y'all serve me so well. And in return, I know that I've lit the fire under somebody. And you're bouncing. I've lit it under myself. I know, Sean. You're bouncing. Come bounce with me and enjoy the freaking flight phase. You're successful. Your resiliency led you to your success. Go enjoy it. So I'm going to leave you how I always get to leave you. If you have a heartbeat.
You got a purpose.
That's right.
You got a purpose.
I love y'all. Have a wonderful day. Sean, I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank y'all. I love y'all.
Time to dance.
You can dance.
Yep, you ready?
Yes.
Just a second.
Hold on.
I love the babies. Hey, babies. Hi.
Bye.
Jax.
Ah.
Jaxie.
Oh, that looks, is that Play-Doh?
Yeah, he stacks Play-Doh. He plays with it.
Oh, I love it.
Get up.
Yes.
And yes, I have the same outfit on from yesterday.
I love y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow. I'm your head misfit, Sean Murphy. I'll see y'all where?
At the next
You be safe out there building them cabins, brother. Let's hear it, Costa Rica.
vida.
Vida. We love you, Mark.
You on for the light coming and I get gone. This ain't no cinematic, ain't no movie really happening. Ain't nobody yelling action, no cameras, and no acting. It's real life truth, we back it. Our God is great, no magic. I made plans and the sun came to that. Born of a virgin and died on the pilot. He don't need one, but he still fly. Rose into the reverse skydive. No lie, boy, coming back. I hope you on the scene for the sky.
Okay, when you're going up, push the button. Ready? Good job.